Last week I watched the original Star Wars trilogy for the first time. However, it didn't make me a fan. Not right away at least. There are moments I loved, but it didn't hit me the way it clearly hit millions of others. So I didn't walk away obsessed, but I did walk away curious. Curious to see if the prequels would make me feel any different. So this week I decided to keep going with two simple goals. To understand the hype around Star Wars, and to finally understand how Darth Vader became one of the greatest villains ever. So with those goals in mind, I jumped into the Phantom Menace. Going into the original trilogy, I had a lot of expectations. So this time I decided to leave all that behind. No hype, no expectations, just curiosity. And honestly, the Phantom Menace was more in line with what I always imagined Star Wars to be. Not necessarily in quality or emotion, but just in scale. A bigger galaxy, politics, Jedi everywhere. A universe that feels structured and alive, not just a small rebellion fighting to survive. And seeing familiar names before their destinies hit, that was surreal. Like I said before, Luke at the beginning felt like this hopeful kid chasing an adventure. But watching Anakin here, I finally understood why. The way he builds things, the natural skill as a pilot, that restless spark in his eyes, it's all the same DNA. That same, I want more than this, energy that defined Luke, it started with him. And then there's that scene where Anakin has to leave his mom. I didn't expect it to hit as hard as it did. Not because of the moment itself, but because I know where it leads. That little boy who couldn't let go of his mom becomes the man who couldn't let go of his son. That's the part that hit me. Qui-Gon Jinn was another surprise. He was calm, wise, and quietly rebellious. He felt like an example of what a real Jedi is supposed to look like. He doesn't just follow the Jedi Council. He listens to something deeper. You can feel his belief in Anakin. It's like he's passing a torch to someone who doesn't realize yet how heavy it is. The Jedi Council, their rules, the world, the structure, it all felt majestic but fragile. And it made me realize the original trilogy was the fallout. This is the world before it all breaks. And so for the first time I started asking questions I never thought I would care about. Like, why do lightsabers have different colors? Who decides who gets to be a Jedi? Why does this guy have two blades? But the biggest question, was Anakin really the chosen one? Or was it Luke? And listen, this movie isn't perfect. Some scenes drag, the pacing dips, and the villain barely feels like a character. Also this guy, get him off my screen please. But what matters more is what it made me feel. This was the first time I wasn't watching Star Wars just to judge it. I was watching to understand him. How does a kid with so much hope become Darth Vader? What breaks him so deeply that he forgets who he was? And I had to know the answer, so I jumped straight into the next one. After the Phantom Menace, I went into this one more invested. I understood what the prequels were trying to build, so now I wanted to see how it all started to fall apart. And right from the beginning you can tell, something's changed in Anakin. He doesn't just follow orders, he questions them. He doesn't just protect Padme, he acts on his feelings for her. And that makes him stand out from the rest of the Jedi. He's emotional, impatient, and often blinded by his own instincts. Even in small moments you can see it. It's not hard to see why the Jedi Council worries about him. He's not calm or disciplined like the others. He feels more human. And ironically, that's what makes him both powerful and vulnerable. Watching this version of Anakin made me start asking new questions. Would things have been different if he started younger? Would things have turned out differently if someone else had mentored him? Because the more I watched, the more I realized that Anakin isn't just struggling with his destiny, he's struggling with control. His emotions drive him, his love, his fear, his anger, and the Jedi are telling him to suppress all of that. So, what happens when someone like that keeps trying to be something he's not? His relationship with Padme is where it all starts to unravel. You can feel this tension. It's romantic but also dangerous. It's not written perfectly, but thematically, it says a lot. Here's a kid who was trained that love was kinda forbidden, and now it feels like it's the only thing keeping him sane. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan's storyline is almost the complete opposite. He's logical, focused, calm, chasing answers across the galaxy while his student is slowly losing himself. It's clever because while Obi-Wan is out investigating the future, clones, wars, deception, Anakin is trapped in the past, still haunted by his mom, still unable to let go. And when he finally finds her, that scene is heartbreaking. You see every emotion clash at once. Love, fear, anger, loss. And the second he acts on it, the line between Jedi and Sith starts to blur.
And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too. They're like animals. And I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
He loses control, and it's terrifying, because it's also understandable. I even started thinking, what would I do in that situation? That's when it hit me. Luke's story is about resisting the dark side, but Anakin is about falling into it. Luke and Anakin aren't opposites. They're the same person living two different lives. They both wanted to protect the people they loved. The difference is how they did it. Anakin tried to control everything, and it destroyed him. Luke learned to let go, and it saved him. And so by the time the credits rolled, I wasn't just curious anymore. I was invested. I'm finally starting to understand why Darth Vader is seen as one of the greatest villains ever. But I also wanted to understand what this franchise really means to everyone else. So after the Attack on Clones, I decided to take a step back. I wanted to fully understand what real fans thought. So I started watching videos, reading YouTube comments and stories from people who've grown up with this franchise their entire lives. And what I found was honestly kind of beautiful. People don't just love Star Wars because it's groundbreaking. They love it because it sparks wonder. Someone said Star Wars rewards your curiosity. You can enjoy it as a casual adventure, or you can deep dive and find layers of meaning, questions, and mystery. And another person said it's not something you instantly fall in love with. It's a story that grows on you the more you explore it. And I think that's exactly what's happening to me. I heard that the prequels are pretty divisive. Some fans love them, and others don't. But for me, they've actually helped build on the lore and intrigue of this universe in ways I didn't expect. Seeing the Jedi at their peak, understanding the politics, the mythology, the downfall, it made the original trilogy hit harder. It gave everything more context and more meaning. And honestly, through these prequels, I think I've gained a whole new appreciation for the original story and the franchise as a whole. Because to me, Star Wars isn't just about who wins or loses the war. It's about how people change, how hope survives, and how history repeats itself. And that realization made me even more excited for what came next, Revenge of the Sith. Going into Revenge of the Sith, I didn't expect to love it. The other two movies were good, but not great, with Anakin's development carrying it for me. But man, did I love this movie. From the opening scene, I was hooked. The scale, the pacing, the intensity. It felt like everything the prequels had been building toward finally came together. The action hit harder, the stakes felt real, and just like in Empire Strikes Back, every choice mattered. That first battle with Count Dooku set the tone immediately. And again, Anakin's Jedi compass being tested. Automatically, this felt like the Star Wars movie. And again, what made this movie work so well for me was Anakin's journey. His downfall felt tragic in a way I didn't fully expect. You can trace every step of it back to pain. Losing his mom, the fear of losing Padme, the fear of not being enough. He isn't just seduced by power, he's manipulated by grief. And Palpatine's plan, so genius and so terrifying. The way he plays Anakin, slowly twisting every weakness into loyalty, it's honestly one of the best setups for a villain I've ever seen. Then there was Order 66. Watching the soldiers who fought beside the Jedi turn on them without hesitation. It's crazy. The music drops, the tone shifts, and one by one, the peacekeepers of the galaxy fall. It feels like it's the death of hope, and through it all, Anakin becomes the face of that destruction. The boy who once dreamed of saving people now destroys everything he swore to protect. And what makes it so heartbreaking is that it was inevitable. Every mistake makes sense because we've seen the cracks forming since the beginning. Even after all the warning signs, the anger, the disobedience, the attachments, Obi-Wan still believed in him. He trusted Qui-Gon's words about Anakin being the chosen one. And that belief, that loyalty blinded him. It wasn't ignorance, it was faith. Faith in a student he loved like a brother. That's what makes the ending so painful. When he thinks the Jedi turn on him, when he loses trust in everyone, you can see that kid from Phantom Menace disappearing. The little boy who couldn't let go of his mom, the young man who couldn't let go of Padme, and the Jedi who couldn't let go of his emotions. The council tells him to let go. Palpatine tells him to hold on, and he chooses to do the wrong one. And by the time he was standing there in the fire fighting Obi-Wan, it's not just a duel, it's the death of who he was. The choreography, the emotion, the pain in their voices, it's all insane. Even the Yoda and Palpatine fight went harder than I expected. Watching wisdom and power collide like that, it felt like everything was falling apart. And when it all ends with Padme gone, Obi-Wan broken, and Vader rising, I was left in awe. But here's what hit me the most. Anakin's fall makes his redemption so much more powerful. Because when you step back, you realize he was never truly evil. He was desperate. A boy who watched his mother die in his arms, who was promised the power to stop that kind of pain, and who had to watch it happen again. Every dark choice came from love twisted by fear. So when Vader chooses to save Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi, it's not some random change of heart. It's the moment he finally lets go of that guilt that kept him trapped. Luke believed there was still good in him because there always was. And for me, that's what makes this movie so powerful. It doesn't just explain how Darth Vader fell. It makes his redemption mean something much more. So by the time the credits rolled, I just sat there for a second, silent. Because after what this movie put me through, and the journey between all of these movies, I can finally say, I get the hype. This movie wasn't just a great Star Wars movie in my opinion. It was the moment the story's heart broke, and in doing so, it made the entire saga feel complete. So after everything, the originals, the prequels, the heartbreak, the hope, am I a Star Wars fan now? And I can finally say, I am.